What's up, everybody? It's fourth and go time. Winning Wednesday here at the Heat Ratio Sports Network. I'm Dave Kleckner. That's Marc Tomasini. We can't wait to talk to you about Philly sports for the next hour or so. I'm warning you, I could be fired up tonight. But let's see where Marc's at. What's up, Marc?
What up? What up? It's a winning Wednesday because the Phils took care of business against the Padres at home. Great to see. But, and the Eagles are making some big moves.
They are.
Not so much. We're going to have to look down the line, but I think it's definitely potential for a fired up show.
Let's get right into it. Last time we were on the show, I think we both knew coming off a disgusting Game 5 loss that the Sixers were not going to beat the Miami Heat. And we talked about that. The series. Yeah. We both had some confidence they would come a little bit more fired up and win Game 6 and then lose ultimately in Game 7. Kind of didn't happen that way. And instead they bowed out in a less than graceful fashion. We'll put it that way. And they go out 99-90. That score wasn't even as close as the game indicated. They were really they were flat again. And it was just absolutely pathetic. It was apathetic. James Harden goes in 11 points early, ends up with 2 shots the entire second half, and one was late in the fourth quarter with no time left on the shot clock. His energy, his passion was just not there. And Embiid looked flat the whole entire game. The only guy that was out there balling was Maxey, and he didn't even shoot that well. I think he was like 7 for 24, 9 for 24. Don't hold me to the number. But in the end, it was a really what I thought Game 5 was disgusting, losing by 35. This felt worse. What'd you think?
Yeah, no, it's absolutely worse. I mean, you think about it, Game 5, okay, you're kind of feeling yourself. You go down to Miami, and you're in Miami's home and they give you a kick in the face. Not good, but acceptable. It happens. Miami is a good team. Let's not act like we were clearly the better team. Obviously they finished first, but in that scenario, okay, you can understand a little bit. But now it's Game 6 and you're home. And that's been an advantage for the home team in every game this series. You've taken care of most of your business at home in the past, two series. And you absolutely get pantsed at home on national TV. You didn't show up. You decide not to play. I mean, everybody from top to bottom. Like you said, Maxey was probably the only guy who played with heart because I don't think he knows how to play with less. I don't think he knows what it means to give up. And when you see a performance like that, the score, doesn't really tell the story of how the game went, but absolutely was it worse than losing by 35 in Miami? Because it's an elimination game. It's an elimination game. It's time to man up. And
I hear you, bud. Here, look, C's checking in. I was talking to him the other day. He's looking forward to us getting on there. I appreciate you checking in, Adam. And he's got a point here, and we're definitely getting to this one. So freeze frame that. We'll talk Harden in a minute here. But as we wrap up what was, just another – I don't want to say I can't take it anymore, but another just disappointing end to a season that had some promise, some hope, especially when we got the Harden at the trade deadline. And we came out 4-0, some great games in Minnesota, New York, and just saw flashes of what we thought could be. And to end the season once again in the Eastern Conference semis, don't even get to the Eastern Conference Finals for the first time since 2001. It's sad, man. And it's sad because I got to be honest with you. Embiid probably played the best season we're ever going to see him play.
Yes.
I don't know how much more of that you got left in Embiid. I mean, that was a historical season for a center. And we couldn't find anything to help him out. I mean, I learned a lot about this team in this last few days. Matisse Thybulle, we should have traded him. I mean, he's got no – I don't even care about defensive efforts anymore. It doesn't matter when you can't shoot the ball or provide anything on the floor on the offensive side. And Harden's a challenge to me. And I think what we're about to flash on the screen, I agree. He used to flash everything. And Embiid said it best at the end of in his press conference. He's not that guy. And I don't think that was showing up, Harden. I don't think, and I hope James doesn't take it that way. Yeah. I thought he was trying to take pressure off James. to be honest with you.
I thought he was trying to temper our expectations.
Yes, exactly that too. So I just sit here in bewilderment. What's this? The fourth time we've lost in the conference semis now.
Yeah.
In 5 years. Only year we didn't was COVID year in the bubble, lost in the first round.
Lost in the first round.
And that was the end of Brett Brown. So I just don't know. I mean, when you look at Milwaukee, you look at Boston, even Miami, I'm just not sure we even have an answer anymore. I just don't know what it is. I'm just bewildered is the right word. Disappointed, mad, sad. I can add all those. I'm just not sure this team can ever get there.
I mean, bringing up the fact that Embiid had his best season we'll probably ever see. I gotta agree. I want to hope. I want to hope that Morey can figure something out. But
how? When he banked it on Harden, right?
No, I know. Because he's too close to the situation with Harden.
Yep.
He knew that it was going to come this way. I mean, all I can do is just hope at this point to see something change. Obviously, there's a lot of uncertainties out there, in regards to Harden's cooked. What if they can't pull a trade to bring in another star? What if, Embiid gets frustrated? I mean, there's so many routes they could go. What if everyone's been talking about the option that they could do. It's going to change the future of the team if they were to do something along those lines. I know we'll get into it, but this might be the last chance that they have.
I hate that.
Who knows? But I just feel like the toll that Embiid took this year, and with all his injuries and everything like that, and to have his thumb and his orbital bone, and yes, they're not, broken legs. They're not, his foot issues, the Liz Frank or whatever it is.
What he had coming out of college.
Before, but he's just it's a breakdown. It's a breakdown.
Let me put this up there.
Yeah.
You answer this one.
Yeah. I
don't.
I'm really trying not to be biased. I don't think so, at least not yet. I think he's got a little more in him than to do that. I mean, look, he ran his mouth for a long time saying, I want to win a championship in Philadelphia.
Yep, I agree.
Now, I know at some point the well runs dry and you don't have assets anymore and you can't do anything more with the things they have. This is why Morey has to get creative and he has to do this big plan that he pretty much has leaked out to Brian Windhorst. I got this plan. Now, whether I hit on it or not, I don't know. But he's got to do that to keep him interested, because I do think that Joel at some point is going to be like, man, this isn't it. I don't think that happens this summer, regardless of what it looks like, regardless of who the coach is. A year or two down the line, I definitely think that's a possibility. But he's talked about how he wants to win for this city. He puts on for this city. It's, they gave him a chance and he's, ride or die with Philadelphia at this point. I mean, it would be, he knows as much as he'd want to go and win somewhere else. I think he would know, watching everything with Ben Simmons, how much of a villain he would become and how crooked things would be. And, his first, 6, 7, 8 years of his basketball career would just be flushed down the drain like that. And I don't think he wants to go out like that. I really don't.
Yeah. No, here's my response to that. And look, I understand where people think he could, but I don't think he will. And there's many reasons. Obviously not this year. I think he's invested in Philly, like you said. I think those are all great points. But here's where I don't think he will either. Joel Embiid isn't how do I put this? He isn't an empire builder. He isn't out there building a fraternity. And that's why he's not winning MVP. He's not everybody's favorite. And then there's nothing wrong with that. I love that. So I'm not saying any negative.
He's not buddies with everybody.
No, he's not. And a little bit with Joel Embiid, and we got it. And that's what we love about him. He's not just going to casually be able to just pick up and be Carmelo Anthony and try and ride coattails of LeBron James. He's not going to have those options. So I don't think he's going to have that power in him, nor do I think he's going to want to. I do think he's Philly through and through. Now, what I think Cease is getting at, and I understand it, is similar to what Allen Iverson had to do near the end of his career, what Barkley had to do. And like you said, if the well runs dry, no more assets. If we keep investing in older people and this is what he's left with, got it.
Yeah.
There might be no choice, but if it's up to him, no, I don't see it. I don't see it. I will say this much when it comes to, Embiid, and this, I may be unpopular here. I think he choked. And I was really disappointed with his last 2 games of the season. I think if Joel Embiid is not dominating, leading the team in scoring, he's not Joel Embiid. And even when they won games 3 and 4, I'm not sure how excited he was about that. And you could see by his body language and attitude in game 5. And then when it came to game 6, very similar. He was posting up from 30 feet out, wasn't even close to the basket, lacked energy. And, that's a do or die desperation game. And that's what we got out of our star player. Now, I get you can say he was all gassed out, no thumb, no eye. I get that, but that wouldn't happen to the greats.
Right.
I love Joe. I always will. I just don't know if he can be the centerpiece in a championship.
Yeah. No, I mean, that's why you need that. That's why you need Harden I don't even know if Harden's the right example, just because Harden never had that in him. You need somebody that is, like a younger Chris Paul, somebody who can be a leader, who can push, who can.
That's what I think.
Because Chris Paul is not the same Chris Paul that he was a long time ago, but he's got that fire. And I heard a good point earlier today that, they don't have a stickler on that team. They don't have somebody who's going to get up in you. They don't have somebody that's going to push you and get you angry and get you mad to want to go out there and be the best version of you that you can be. I mean, let's face it, Jimmy Butler. Like, you don't have that guy. You don't have that killer instinct. You don't even have a bully. There's no toughness to this team, and they didn't have that. And Joel is just tough because of his, he plays through injury and stuff like that, but it's not the same. It's not an attitude tough. And they are lacking that, and they're lacking, real experience with somebody who's not even like a winner, but just somebody who can go in and out of the grind. And, Harden has a long career, but he's always been the guy, and that's not been enough. It's never been enough.
Yeah.
So, you do have to change the dynamic of this team. There needs to be a big shift in this team. And I think that, I agree with you. I do think Embiid choked, and there's part of me that's saying, like, I don't know, maybe, these headaches and this concussion, caused him to not be the person that he is. But you can't blame it all on that, because obviously he was cognizant enough to play. Yep. So he's that, and it's not like he didn't know his name or anything like that. Like, they said his body language was bad. He probably is tired and he's probably worn out, but, maybe something else was going on. But at the end of the day, this is what he works for. He talks about, yes, he wants to win MVP, but the most important thing is winning the championship. And this was maybe your closest opportunity in this city to do it, let alone anywhere. Yeah. And, you didn't take full advantage of it. So I agree with you. Yeah. I realized it after a couple of days, he choked. It wasn't all on him, but I agree. I think there needs to be a piece with him that can lift him up.
And here's another great point. Definitely should have kept Jimmy. And look, you're never going to change fourth and goes mine. Dave, Marc, anyone who's ever listened to us, we were anti-Brett Brown, anti-Ben Simmons. Yeah. It wasn't Jimmy running out of the Wells Fargo the other night yelling Tobias Harris. That had nothing to do with it. It wasn't Tobias Harris. We didn't choose Tobias Harris over Jimmy Butler. We chose Brett Brown and Ben Simmons over Jimmy Butler.
I don't understand if that was Jimmy's backhand way of saying it, because I know the situation as, a 30-something-year-old living in Cherry Hill, New Jersey. I knew what the situation was at the moment. The moment, like I said, I keep going back to this moment in that free agency when the first piece of breaking news on free agency night was that Ben Simmons and the Sixers, Rich Paul and Clutch Sports were working on a deal that was F you, Jimmy, you're gone. Even though there was already rumblings of that happening.
Right.
And now thinking about it, I think the reason that Tobias Harris was brought in was because within a month or two, they realized they were going to let Jimmy go at the end of the season. They already knew this, which was stupid. That they already knew this, and they didn't want to say they traded for Jimmy, but they still had assets. So, let's go get another player, try and make this work. We're going to ship Jimmy out. And when they knew that they had to put the ball in Ben Simmons' hands, Tobias was only signed because you can't trade for two big players and let both of them go in free agency. It's literally the optics of it are terrible.
Yep. So, no, that was it.
For Jimmy to say, Tobias Harris, it's like, dude, the situation. Like, I wish he would have said Ben Simmons. I wish he would have said Ben Simmons and pissed on the flame that was everything that's around Ben Simmons. 100%. When I heard Tobias Harris, I'm like, dude, he knows. He knows,
but
it's so stupid. I was so mad.
And it wasn't as much. It wasn't even as much Tobias Harris. He should have said Al Horford. That's what he should have said.
Right.
So I love Jimmy. We all love Jimmy. I was hanging out with a guy tonight, and he's like, man, I wish we had Jimmy. And I agree, but here's the thing. Jimmy was 3 years ago. Jimmy's already made the finals once with Miami. I know it hurt more because we lost them. But I'm sorry. I'm over the Jimmy Butler thing.
Yeah. You look back at it, and I think I can speak for somebody because I love Jimmy Butler.
We love him, and I love him too.
Perfect player for here. But but you just look at okay, you had James Harden. He was the closest thing to Jimmy Butler. And James Harden wasn't enough. I'm telling you, had they had another year together, I think they would have won the championship last year. And that's 2 years after him coming here at 19. I think they could have won the championship last year with the state of the NBA the way that it was.
I do agree with that. And
I easily think they could have I think they could have been in the finals at least and played Phoenix.
And I think they would beat them. What stings the most for all of us. Well, one, they don't lose to Atlanta with Jimmy Butler. I agree with you. But
he doesn't let it happen.
What stings the most, and this is probably what Adam's coming up with too, when Jimmy sits there and says how much he still wants to be here or play with Joe. Yeah. And I get it. And we all knew
in the face. Because it's that's not our fault, but that's this organization's fault.
Yeah. So there was one other question, and I'll lay it out there, and I think we already have the answer. He is coming back. I do believe it. They said he is.
Unless there's something crazy.
I will say that I would put all my eggs in Jay Wright's basket. I know that's short term, and I know college coaches coming to the NBA don't necessarily translate. But I have seen some success with Brad Stevens. I have seen success with guys like Billy Donovan. So there are outliers, and I do think Jay Wright's that type that could work. So for me, Doc would not be back next year. I've seen enough of Doc. I know what Doc is. And when I see Joel Embiid post up from the, top of the key to 30 feet out every time, that's enough for me. And when I see teams lose by 35, have no effort at home, that's enough for me. When they lose to Toronto by 20 at home in Game 5, obviously find a way to rebound in Game 6, it's enough for me. I can keep saying it, but Doc is enough for me. I'm done. He was good to maybe hold them accountable for a little bit. They were young. They needed to hear a voice. He's not great. He's just good. This team needs great.
He's okay.
Maybe I'm being too nice.
Thinking about it, he won with a stacked Celtic squad. He's one of the biggest choke artists as a coach in the NBA history, yet they call him one of the top 15 coaches, because it's a fraternity.
And he has a lot of
I think that, unless Morey's got something cooking, it's hard to go out there and say that, he's coming back and then to flip it on the table. I think Morey already has a bad rap following him. I don't think he's going to do that, especially to a Doc Rivers. And I think it's going to hurt him with trying to bring in other players. So I think that would be an issue, especially maybe they try and bring Seth Curry back and have him off the bench, something like that, And I think that's something that would turn them off. So I think it's hard to say that Glenn Rivers isn't coming back. Now, here's the thing. I get the Jay Wright thing, but not even have to go that far to bring somebody in to make a difference. Why not give Sam Cassell a shot?
I love Sam Cassell.
You know, like it's because he's a recently former player, more recent than Doc Rivers.
He's won championships.
Right. And he's somebody that I think can relate more to these players now. And I think because he's newer, he'll be more privy to, other options and figuring out and making sure that Joel is not playing up at the top. Like, yes, he doesn't play that position, but I think that because Glenn is very much like, I know what I'm talking about. I've been there before. Nobody can tell me how to coach this team.
Yeah.
And other coaches, players, I'm going to do whatever it is that I'm going to do. I think Sam Cassell, especially being a newbie, would listen, be open, play Paul Reed instead of DeAndre Jordan. Do those types of things. If you give me that, I think that would be something, because obviously he's sitting there on the bench. He's been talking to these guys, and he probably has more of a personal relationship with these players than Glenn Rivers has. So to me, I think that would be even just do that.
I like it. I like where your mind's at. Just look at the Western Conference Finals. You have Jason Kidd. I want to say it's his first year with the Mavs.
Yeah.
Because Carlisle left last year. He's a former point guard. Steve Kerr, maybe not a point guard, kind of like point shooting guard.
Yeah.
But very similar minds. Guys that won champions. Sam Cassell was on that awesome Rockets team with the Dream. They won a few years in a row. I'm very much a Sam Cassell fan. He came from one of my favorite schools growing up, Florida State, played with Bobby Sura. You got a great point. He's like a Tyronn Lue in a way too. I think he's very underrated. And can coach the hell out of a team. Like the best coaches sometimes are, you saw it. Those guys, Avery Johnson was a really good coach for the Spurs for a hot minute there before, Popovich came in. Those guys that, see the game a different way. And I think Cassell does. So I'm with you. That would be a great choice besides Wright.
I mean, look at Boston right now at Ime Udoka.
We had him.
Right. He was here.
Yep.
Let him go. He's got
I don't need Mike. I don't want Mike D'Antoni. I don't need to recycle
we don't
that.
need retreads. We need fresh blood. We need somebody new. We need somebody who relates more to this game, to the new game.
Yep.
Rivers, Glenn Rivers, he's not there, and he gets stuck to guys, and he's been in the league for a long time. He's got his guys.
Yep. So we finally got to get there. I love the talk we've had. I love the dialogue. What do you do with James Harden?
To me, look, he's either going to opt in or he's going to get team friendly if there is a deal. If there is a deal to bring in,
he better opt in.
He's not getting the max offer. I think even Daryl knows that. There's no way that Daryl can have this master plan while signing Harden to a max contract. I don't think it's possible.
Yeah. There's no way. I agree. All right. So here's the deal. He is a shell of his former self. We get that.
And I'm okay with that.
I can live with that. I can't live with dribbling out the clock until 3 seconds left and then either passing or doing a step back three that's a line drive off the back of the rim or front of the rim side of the backboard, whatever it was.
He's got to change.
That's got to stop. That's absolutely killing this team. Every team knows it. There's no movement on the Sixers. There's one high screen roll and then dribble the clock out until whatever happens.
Right.
Maxey sits in the on the wing, Harris in the corner, Green in the corner, and it's just brutal basketball.
Stagnant, yeah.
All right, so it can't come back. It can't. I can't have James Harden of 2022 come back. Now, is it the hamstring? I hope. Is it something else? Whatever. Take a few months off, come back. I will take you on your player option. I give you one more year. 20 games probably wasn't enough. That's fine. I ain't giving you shit after that. I'm not giving you 3 years. I'm not giving you a max deal. I'm not giving you a damn thing because I don't owe you anything. You come back, play your balls off, maybe. But I still know what James Harden is. And he's a guy that doesn't win in the playoffs. I watched it again. I wanted to tell myself it was going to be different this year. It wasn't. You took 2 damn shots in the biggest game of the year in the second half. You scored 11 damn points. I know what you are, James Harden, and it's not a winner. I'll give you another year here, but that's about it. I'm telling you, this guy pisses me the hell off.
Yeah, I mean, I get it. I'm not as fired up about that, but the one thing I have to question is where his head's at, because when you saw at the end of that game 4 when he hit those shots and he's the screaming and he's like MF, like you're like, okay, all right, capture this moment, right? Store it in your headspace. And when nothing, and in those moments in the games going forward, when the season's on the line, I need you to pull that up, because he can do it. Like, it's there, but it hasn't been consistent. And I was thinking about this earlier, like just thinking about prior to the show. Sometimes there's like a word of the day or the letter of the day or whatever. Like, I feel like in all of Philadelphia, today I have a word of the day, and it's consistency, and their lack thereof. They don't have consistency. No player is consistent. Even with as good of a season Joel had, he's not consistent. You look at the Phillies, they're not consistent. You look at like these franchises, none of them are consistent. And I need James Harden to remember that moment. And he totally forgot. And he was okay with it. Like, he picked and chose when to turn it on. And I don't know how in game 6 you can't find it within yourself to turn that on and get that beast out. Like, it's not that they were precluding him, because they were playing just as tough defense on him in game 4 as they were in game 6. He just gave up. He just wasn't there. All he did, that's what's most frustrating to me is, yes, he's not that 30 points in 30 straight games type of guy. I get that, and I'm okay with that. I understand that. But to find that beast, that inner animal, and just to completely abandon that play in a matter of 4 days is ludicrous to me. And to me, all I think he needs to do is he needs to change his game a little bit. Obviously, he's never going to be exactly, Chris Paul, but like, if he could adjust his game, get himself healthy, like you said, hopefully it's just a hamstring, because he is a good facilitator. He's got great court vision, and he just works on himself a little bit and knows that, like, look, if I can't beat this guy off the dribble real quick, find my next option and just make
but
it.
He doesn't do that.
Force the issue. I know, but I'm just saying, I think there's still something that you can salvage with him, and he's not going to be that 30 points a night guy, but I'm okay with that because his court vision is good enough and he still has a shot. But I'm telling you, it's just frustrating that he just couldn't find that inner animal, that inner beast.
No, and he's never going to. He's been known as a guy that shies away from the big lights. He's been known as a guy up 3-1, loses. And that was against Golden State. Now they're going to say it was the Chris Paul injury. God, he showed up to game 7 versus San Antonio. I think he was like 5 points. It was just ridiculous. He had a horrendous game. It's a guy that when I needed him most, he showed up the least. And that scares me. And it ain't going to get better over time. Father Time doesn't make that better. And I'm willing to give him one more year. But here's my fear, concern, everything about it. The way he has to be ball dominant, he really takes Maxey sometimes out of his game. Maxey, even when he brings it up, he slows it down so he can get it to James. I feel like we don't need James. That's just my honest opinion. We don't need James. We need a Bradley Beal and let Maxey just run around and do his thing and have an off-ball shooter that can just, really support what we need to do. I want it to be James, but I really, truly know. I just don't think it's him.
Well, if we want to get into the hypotheticals, I think we can. Realistically, to bring in another star here, I think Maxey is on his way out. I think that's how it's going to work. If this is part of, and hopefully,
if it's a trade, I agree.
For a trade, hopefully Darryl has something crazy in his mind that he can find a way to make it work around. But I have a hard time believing
he'd have to get rid of Tobias, and he'd
Right.
have
Well,
to send Tobias to Oklahoma City or someone under that's way below and Oklahoma City just got the 2 pick. It might help them to bring in a salary now, but I don't know.
Right, but it would have to be something like that. But realistically, if you're bringing in a star player, it's probably, because that Beal's going to sign that supermax with Washington.
Yeah, but doesn't mean you have to give up much like we didn't for Jimmy, right?
Right, but they're going to take on a big salary in Harris. They're going to say, we want more. We're giving you a star.
Well, that's why I think Harris could go somewhere else to make the big move happen.
If that happened, but then what are you giving Danny Green for Ken Korkmaz?
For Beal?
Pick for Beal?
Oh no, you are giving. You might be able. Look, I'm not gonna say. Don't go crazy, but it has to be Maxey, and it could be B-Ball Paul. B-Ball Paul might be enough because he showed some value in this.
That means you're giving up Maxey. That's the whole point. And the only thing I fear with that is you're doing it for somebody. He's still in his prime now, and I get that. But if you are not sure with what you have with Harden, and then you bring in Beal, who's pretty much purely a shooter. He's not like an all-around player, right? And then you have Embiid. And if it doesn't work after a year or two, you're pretty much going to be left with nothing after that. Where here's another idea that I have too.
Let me hear it.
I don't love this guy as much as I love what Beal can bring, but I think there's a lot of caveats that come away with this. But I think this would make me feel a little more comfortable with losing a Maxey. Donovan Mitchell. I know it's not sexy, but I think he's a better.
Not next to Harden. Not next to Harden. There's no way.
He would have to be because at least you have a future.
But they're ball dominant. They're both ball dominant. How does that work?
I mean, we'll see.
Yeah,
I don't know. That's something that I think could be a possibility. Maybe
Utah has to blow it up. So
you're able to, unless you're able to move Harden somewhere, get rid of him, and then
you hope Harden doesn't take the option then,
right?
And some other team wants to give him the supermax.
But I think
you free up cap space. That's the only way.
Supermax.
You got some. Yeah, I mean, listen, I'm not a Mitchell guy. So that's just one place I won't go.
Right.
I think he's a born loser. Maybe that's a little strong, but he doesn't make his teams better. I know he shoots well. Now, would it be better than Harden? Yeah. I just can't put the both of them together. There's not enough space on the floor even.
I saw something crazy today. There was hypotheticals about trade scenarios for Harden for Sacramento if they wanted to get Harden. One trade gives you Harrison Barnes and De'Aaron Fox.
Yes.
I know Maxey and him are similar, obviously. They're literally the same person.
Yeah.
Would you do that?
Yeah.
You would?
Yeah.
Okay.
There's a lot of things I would do for Harden. So I think the only place Harden goes though, is a place like LA. Now I don't think he gets there, but LA has no assets. But he's got to end up on a team that's at least competitive. Like, he'd kill Sacramento.
Right.
Like he wouldn't even show up.
Yeah.
Now I did have someone else, and while we're talking trades, and we got a few minutes left on the Sixers, someone texted me. They said, "Would you do this? Would you take Booker and Ayton for Embiid and Tybalt?" It's not a rumor out there. It was just
no. It's more of a hypothetical. I know that Phoenix they're going to be taking a look at their roster and seeing what's going on with it. Obviously, I don't think you get rid of a Booker, but you look at it, is Booker somebody who doesn't show up as much as you want to?
I know.
And that's the problem. And it's like you do have and Booker's great, but Booker comes up small in the big moments too. I mean, you know what? I probably do.
I do.
That move because at least Booker, you still have a lot of because that's the big get. DeAndre Ayton, okay, he kind of is a poor
He's
man.
a bam to me.
Embiid, and he's very young. Those two players are young, and Thibault, we pretty much know that
I'm done
unless he fixes his offensive game, which I don't see happening because it's been long enough, and everybody knows that he's got to do it. And I don't think it's ignorance. I just don't think that he has it in him.
Yep.
I absolutely thinking about it. I absolutely would do that deal and just see if you can build around Booker.
And I hate it because I love Joe, but by far a Booker and Embiid is close, and Ayton and Thibault is miles. It's Grand Canyon, and that's why I said he's kind of like a Bam. He's that guy that you can do a lot with, and he's still a very formidable center, probably a top 7 center in the league. So, and now no way Phoenix does that. I don't see why they would, and
unless they think that Chris Paul and Joel Embiid make it work, but
and I don't want Joe going anywhere. I'm not advocating for this.
No.
Someone gave me
an our guy. Like that's the thing. Like here's the thing: Joel Embiid is our guy. We don't have anybody else that's our guy that we can say like that's. I mean, Max, he could be that guy someday, but like Embiid is ours. So like if we're gonna win with anybody, I want it to be him.
Oh yeah, if we won that series, he was going down as probably. They were talking after Game 4 that he was like a top 3 Sixer, maybe the best of all time already. So, I mean, one loss, I don't want to put it on him and take all that luster away. He's still our guy. My biggest fear is that we've had the best of him already. We need to actually bring in someone, like you said, like you're not going to get a Paul, but someone in that ilk that can help lead this team and let Joe be Joe.
Yeah.
Because it's not Harden. He's not a vocal leader.
And they need a coach that's gonna force him to go play down low. And that's
go play.
The other half of the problem too. It's just so frustrating.
I don't even care if he doesn't get the ball. He's gonna get offensive rebounds. He's gonna play, he's gonna create space.
He's gonna
get the hell out of the top of the key.
Yeah.
Like it does nothing for us.
Right.
Nothing.
Right.
And you have
he's not a 43% 3-point shooter. He's a 33% 3-point shooter.
And he had a bad thumb.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's probably 23% with that. Yeah. Like it was an embarrassment as a coach to watch him do that in games 5 and 6. But all right, enough of the Sixers. Listen, not all is gloom and doom, but I will say they can't come back with the same thing, and Morey better have a plan because I tell you, there's not much of an Embiid averaging 30. We got to take advantage of this soon. It's got to be next year. Because other than that, this is a tough state. We just gave away 2 first-round picks in this trade. It's not – the cupboard's not full.
No.
So
we're down. We're down. Yeah.
All right, let's talk just real fast. NBA playoffs, one of the interesting things, I just wanted to get your take. The Game 7s didn't probably come out to be the Game 7s that we were looking at. Now we're set up with, good 4 teams, though, left. Who you got in the finals?
I got Golden State. That's tough. I think it's a really close series between Boston and Miami. I really think it is. I mean, I think that Miami is a better all-around team, but I feel like Boston is grittier. And honestly, I think that Jason Tatum is the best player in the series.
He is.
As great as Jimmy Butler has been playing,
he is.
Jason Tatum is the best player in the series. And they usually say that the team with the best player in the series wins the series.
Yeah.
It's going to be tough, though. I mean, it's to me, it's really a toss-up to me. Like, I would say Miami, though, because I just think they have a lot of shooters. And I think that Jimmy is just playing out of his mind right now.
I'm going to go Boston, Golden State, and I don't disagree with where and how long you took and Hemden Hawd. I would have been doing the same if you gave it to me first. So don't get me wrong. I'm just saying it quick because in the end, Boston won 2 games in Milwaukee out of 3. They won both games in Brooklyn. They're 4-1 on the road. Now 4-2 after the other night. Them getting beat like that. Don't forget, no Smart, no Horford. So there's some news that they could be back. Either way, this team is built to win on the road. So is Miami. They are. Little different scenario. They lost 2 or 3 in Philly. They lost, I think, 1 or 2 in Atlanta. So
they're susceptible to it. Sure.
They're a little more susceptible. Now, they've been so dominant at home. That's been the surprising part. They haven't really been tested at home yet. Yeah. Every game's been by like double digits. So this is where I'm headed. Boston they just got to get one. They just got to play one of those games. They can get blown out in 3 of the 4 home games. The one close game that's going to happen in Miami, I think they're going to get. And in the end, I think they do win this series. So I prefer Miami. Don't get me wrong. But and Golden State, look, the Dallas story is great, but they just have too many wing defenders. They have too many people they can throw at Luka. Dallas can play them decent. But all right, tonight, they've let up 106 to Golden State with 3 minutes left.
Yep. Golden State's experience. I mean, you got.
Yeah, I'm not a huge Golden State fan. I didn't like Steph putting the pillow on Memphis, Clay going crazy, showing how like the number 6 after he hit a good 3. Like they seem a little like
they're a little cocky. They're a little right. Yeah, I think they're trying to, I don't know if it's them trying to regain it back because they've been away for a couple years or.
Yeah. It's just a little odd to me that's what they have to, they don't feel like champs the way they're acting. Yeah, but
I feel like the champion comes out of the East.
Yeah, I do. I think Golden State, I think it's going to be great odds for whoever gets to face Golden State because Golden State is going to crush Dallas, and everybody's going to be like, "Wow, they're so good. This is theirs to win." So, I'm with you. All right, hey, basketball for 45 minutes. Let's hit a little baseball, football real quick. Phillies, great win tonight. San Diego Padres in town 3-0. They had a really good road trip too, 5-2 for Seattle, and the Dodgers should have been 6-1. Corey Knebel sucks. And I just can't understand how we can never get this right. He's down to 2 outs, up 1, and he just lets up. It goes triple, walk, double, game over. And he's a train wreck back there. And I know his numbers aren't horrendous, but, it's over 3. He's blown 3 critical saves. It's a shame. They should have swept the Dodgers.
Answer me this. All right, so we know the situation. Bryce Harper is not out there. Okay. The triple and the game-winning hit. You have Nick Castellanos, who's not speedy, and you have left-handed batters in both situations. Why in God's name is he not playing the line? Now, obviously, I don't want him on the line, and you have Roman Quinn, I believe, in its center field at this time. I think he was brought in they took Odubel out. He's supposed to cover space. So why in God's name? And I get it. Like some guys hit the certain areas. I get that. But in general, especially with the game on the line, why don't you have the guy playing the line? Because you saw, especially the triple, how far Castellanos had to go to get to the wall and at his speed. I don't understand that.
Mark, not only is he not playing the line, he's playing center field.
Exactly.
Was a mile.
When the ball hits the ground, usually the fielder is there. He was not on the screen.
Yeah, but here's where and I agree with everything you're saying, but here's why I'm even more mad at Corey Knebel. Because they are trying to pitch him outside. This guy couldn't hit a target 3 feet wide.
Right.
I was watching JT or was Stubbs that day. I know. I think it was JT at the end. No, Stubbs did.
No, either way, it was because they played a 4-hour and 18-minute game.
They off. So he's lining up outside on the triple, and his curveball is 3 feet inside, and and he just rips it.
Well,
and I mean, he could not hit any spot. He had strikes that weren't called because the catcher has to reach across the plate, the 18 inches, and So I agree with you. Don't get me wrong. I think Castellanos should have been in a better spot. But the play is not to pitch like an asshole and actually to hit a spot within a few inches. Like that's how mad I still am at Corey.
And I have another gripe with that I was thinking about because I was like, wait a minute, how did the first guy get on? So it was Lux, their number 9 hitter.
Yes. No.
Yeah. Luck. What?
Lux
No,
won the game
no. Oh, wait. No, I think
because
it
Lux
might have
was
been.
the
It might have.
scapegoat.
When was it?
It went Bellinger, Taylor, Lux.
I'm trying to think of who it was then. It was their number 9 hitter. Wait, before Bellinger. Somebody.
Taylor got the walk before Bellinger.
Maybe it was Taylor, and I think Taylor was batting 9th, if I'm not.
You could be right. I just forget the
Wait,
order, but I know Lux won the game.
there was a point that they were faced that Knebel was facing their number 9 hitter, and he pitched him away, or was that in the 8th inning? Oh, now I can't think about it because I know there was a sequence where the batter got pitched away, going for that third strike, and walked him. It was,
that was Taylor.
There was Taylor. It was
the
Taylor.
8, but Lux was batting 9, but Taylor was 8. But he didn't attack Taylor. Taylor, he got out for
Taylor, and that's
the game winning run on.
You got to go at it because then you have Bellinger coming up. Like you have the big hitters coming up, and you didn't attack that bottom of the lineup hitter. You put the ball down the middle if you have to get that strike.
He couldn't throw his fastball anywhere where he wanted.
Right.
And his curveball, he just threw over as a get me over, and he threw it low and inside to a left-handed hitter. Wheelhouse. It was so frustrating, but all right, I'm off that for a second because last night, okay, you come back, you had a long stretch, 5-2, still without Harper, and you lose a tough game. You get shut out by Clevenger and the Padres. Got it, and they didn't pitch awful, but tonight to come back with Wheeler,
this was
and to see him because Wheeler didn't pitch great in that Dodgers game that they won, but to see him settle down and shut down that lineup tonight. Listen, the Phils are still in second place. They still have a very good run differential, positive. I think it's around 20. I think they're set up well going forward. They just need this damn bullpen. Why every year? Alvarado lit up 4 runs the other night when it was 7-3 and got to 7-7. Why every year do I have to deal with a god-awful bullpen? That's just my question to you.
Because they don't spend money on it. They don't care. They think that they can, get these, one-offs and
one-offs. Yep.
That it's what they are. They should have gotten Brad Hand 4 years ago, not this year. Like, back when he was the most sought after pitcher. Like they try and say, oh, and I fall for it. Oh, Brad Hand, maybe he'll have a good year with us. No, like I'm always wrong when it comes to this. It always happens this way. You throw in Brandon Norwood, he stinks. He doesn't deserve to be on an MLB roster. Like, you look at the issues that they have with this bullpen, it's the same old thing. Until they actually get legitimate, they go out and make a free agent signing for a guy who, for the top, because they have the money to do it. They're not afraid to spend the money. Go make it happen. The one thing, I was just talking with my softball team the other night. I was just like, the bridge to Lidge, just thinking about that you had a setup and you had a closer. You had the 2 back-to-back, and you knew that your 8th and 9th inning were sharp because this is a very similar team to that World Series team, except you have better starting pitching now. You had okay starting pitching, an excellent bullpen. Even your 6th and 7th guys, if you had 6th and 7th inning guys, were good, and you had a lineup that could eat bullpens alive. That's what they did. This team does the same thing. They eat bullpens alive. The lineup, and you have good starting pitching. All you have to do is just figure out you need to get like 2 or 3 guys. Like, you need to stop getting these retreads and these, Familias and Alvarados and Hands, like, and Knebel, like all those guys that I just named off. The only guy who is worth a damn is Sir Anthony Dominguez.
He's been good.
He's the only one. Besides that, none of these guys are worth a damn, and you spent probably a combined, 15, 20 million on them. Like, why?
Yeah, it frustrates the hell out of me too. And I can't I think they're 12th out of 15 in bullpen ERA in the NL. It's just
15th out of 15th. Like, and
now
that's
15th
better than last year and the year before.
All right, let me ask you this: Phillies, Bryce Harper. Are you a little concerned? I mean, he got the PRP injection. I think over the weekend.
He did.
Sat out Sunday. I thought he was only going to miss yesterday. Now he's back. He missed today too.
Missed today. They're saying that he should be able to go Thursday. They said it was still sore, and he did say it was still sore.
And then he's shut down for 6 weeks of throwing, right?
Yep.
So but it's beautiful. We got the DH now in the NL. Very fortunate this
worked
year.
out because it probably would be a season-ending injury.
Yeah.
Because if there wasn't a DH, he probably would have just had surgery, shut him down, and you just.
Yeah.
But because he can hit, he can, stay loose.
And he's looking awesome. He's just a spark. I mean, he hit a couple bombs in LA that were just incredible. So I look at him and I just say, hey, I'm a little concerned, but not as much because, I mean, right field in Citizens Bank Park, it's not wide. It's not a chasm. It's not this big valley. So Castellanos can hold it down.
Put our guys in the right position.
Yeah.
Play the line against the left-hander when the game's on the line.
Play the line. I'm with you. So they get a rematch against the Dodgers this weekend. That'll be fun. Yeah. But
I'd like this. You got to take at least one of three there.
Yeah, and then we got
are worth a damn. You get swept by them, then it was all for naught.
Oh, that would suck. Yeah. But Kershaw is still, I think, on the IL. Like, they'll have Buehler went today. I don't think they'll get to see him then because today's Wednesday. So they got a few. They'll probably get a few of the back-end starters again. I know they'll get Anderson, who they hit around. So it'll be interesting. But I still have some faith in the Phillies is really where I was leading this conversation to, based upon the metrics that they're showing, based upon, the hitting. Look, bullpen is a function of sometimes you get hot, sometimes you don't. And if they can find a way, like you said, to stabilize the starting pitching, and they've started to here or there, and Wheeler is starting to show his way. Nola as well. I mean, he got an unlucky loss in Seattle, and somehow they lose his game the other day on Sunday. So he's just been an unfortunate, unlucky pitcher, but I think he's pitched well for them this year. Just get that stabilized. Suarez actually showed some life the other day in LA.
Eflin had a good start.
Yeah, yesterday. So I still think that's the key, right?
Yeah.
We know the hitting's going to be there, and then there's certain days it won't.
And it's getting warmer. That only means the ball's going to fly further.
Yeah, that ball. But that's a story for another day. But yes, I agree. So let's get into the Philadelphia Eagles. Today they made a daring, bold, big move. It was funny. I was out golfing with some friends last Friday, and that was the day James Bradberry, or the day after he got cut from the New York Giants, cornerback, for those who are familiar. And one of my buddies is a Giants fan. I said, the Eagles are going to go get Bradberry. And the other guy looked like, man, that'd be awesome. I said, yeah, it would. I really think that's the move that they need to make. They didn't go out and get the Honey Badger, and they didn't make any other moves in the defensive secondary of worth, even though they had a little money in their pocket. Maybe this is what they were waiting for. That's what I thought in my mind.
Yeah.
I didn't know it would come on a 1-year, $10 million deal, which to me is cheap. Because if you remember, I wasn't and still won't be a big Steven Nelson guy. He showed up here, there.
Yeah, I was on his campaign trail.
Early, right? But his performance.
Yeah. Before the season. I liked where he was in Pittsburgh. And, it also was a byproduct of the defense that they had.
Yeah, but all I meant was that I was with you too with the Steven Nelson signing. But as the season went on, I said Steven Nelson ain't the guy.
There's a reason why he signed for $4 million on a 1-year deal.
Yes. So I did know that that's a glaring hole. I mean, I'm okay with Avonte Maddox in the slot. Yeah, I'm not okay with Avonte Maddox outside. And then when they didn't really draft Zach McPherson, right?
Zach, yeah.
Yeah. I like him, but I still think it's early. So this really shows me that, hey, I'm in it to win it. I thought the signing today of the 1-year, $10 million, hey, it's like you perform, I'll probably re-up you. But to think that I got Maddox, Bradberry, Slay in a passing league,
yeah,
damn, son, I think that's good. And then, I mean, obviously, I've loved the moves they've made up the middle. I was always concerned about the second quarterback. I'm a little concerned about the safety. But now I got linebackers. Now I got D-backs. Now I got a defensive line. Maybe an end that we have to, mature here or there. My only concern on the defense right now is safety, and I'm okay.
I was going to say, I wouldn't be too worried about it.
Okay.
I mean, here's the thing. I think Marcus Epps shows flashes. I think what he doesn't do as a cover corner, I think he makes up as a hard hitter, as a
Okay.
guy who could probably play a little more in the box. I think that's where he comes in. Anthony Harris, a couple years ago, now this is a stretch. A couple years ago, Anthony Harris was one of the best rated safeties in the league. And Anthony Harris wasn't terrible. He definitely got bit. I think it all depends on how Gannon, attacks with his defense. But, I think Bradberry is a major upgrade over Steven Nelson. I think you have consistency. If this, they put a lot of emphasis into linebacker and, even as much as I'm still not crazy on board with the Jordan Davis signing and everything like that, like I think their defensive line got better. Even if you bring Hassan Reddick down, you get Brandon Graham back. Like, you look at what they have, they've improved that defense all across the board except for safety. And I think the safeties will be okay. I think they're not going to be asked to do a whole ton. I think Epps is going to be your hard hitter. He's going to be your strong safety. I think Harris is going to play free and be more of the center fielder. I think that's just going to be the give and take of the two of them. I think they can make it work. I really do. And I think the fact that they have linebackers now, I think that gives them a little more protection over the middle. Doesn't let tight ends, George Kittle get free. And I think that's where we're going to see the benefits of the linebackers. So I really think that they, and here's the funny thing about the Bradberry thing. Yeah, the one year, $10 million is cheap. The Giants are paying more in dead cap than what we're paying Bradberry for this year. I think he's like at $11.6 million on dead cap for the Giants.
Yeah. No, I think it was an awesome news when I saw that flash across. I was very excited because I know where this game is anymore, and it's
on the outside.
It's from the outside. It's putting pressure on the quarterback and having great defensive secondary, players. And I think the Bengals did a great job at that in the playoffs last year. And I think in the end, teams like the Rams, obviously, built around the secondary. Oh, they're built all around, but the line in the secondary, we know what they have on the line, but in the secondary, you still got Ramsey, a lot of good players. They brought in Weddle to come in and really offset them. So that's where you win in the NFL. So I was really pumped about that, and that did add to my winning Wednesday. So I'm with you, man.
There actually are two other safety options out there I was just thinking about.
Okay.
That I've seen. Now, whether this happens or not, they would have to be trade pieces. There were rumors that around draft time that the Eagles and the Ravens were talking about Chuck Clark for Jalen Reagor.
I did hear that.
I don't know why the Eagles didn't entertain it. They were the ones who really weren't about it. I think you have to go for it, but he's not going to give up on his first round pick. It's just too soon.
Yep.
It's just too soon. Next is, even look at that the fact that Whiteside is now a tight end. He doesn't want to give up because he knows his receiver room is full now. He knows that's done.
Yep.
He knows it's not there. Excuse me. And then the other one is Jesse Bates from Cincinnati.
Okay.
He's another one who's
I thought he got signed.
No. He's unhappy. He doesn't want to be there. Does he request a trade? Do the Eagles get on the phone and see what they can do?
Yeah.
Maybe Cincinnati's not known for paying guys. So that's why there's the opportunity. Now, I think these are far offs. I really do think that the Eagles would be okay with starting. I was about to call him Marcus Epps, and Anthony Harris, which again is not the end of the world. If you only have Slay and you don't have a second corner, I think it's a bad look. But I think if you get the best out of Slay and Bradberry, and Slay and Bradberry have been two of the best corners in pass deflections over the past couple of years. They both do things very well. I think with two solid corners like that, and the fact that you increase your linebackers and you brought in a couple athletic linebackers, you have them. I think that their safety options are good for now.
Yeah. No, I'm with you. I'm excited. I was excited about everything, and the only reason I said I was a little concerned about the safety is I just don't know. I mean,
don't know.
McLeod didn't wow me, and I get it. we've just had so many chances to refortify that position. I just feel like we just keep leaving that one as one of those. It used to be let's not do anything at linebacker. I felt like lately it was let's not do anything at linebacker and safety. At least we addressed linebacker a little bit this year. So we'll see. And like you said, I mean, if Epps is in the box, I'm good with it and it has some help over the top. You're going to play dime and nickel way more than you ever have anyway. So, I mean, it could be good. And then now we're sitting there with A.J. Brown. We're sitting there with all the goods on the offense.
Yeah.
Man, this team, it's a quarterback away. Now, I'll give Hurts the spot, but it's a quarter. Like, I really think this is one of the more well-rounded teams coming into a season that they've had in quite some time.
Yeah.
And we knew it, right, Mark? We knew that getting rid of Wentz, it was going to take 1 to 2 years to let that dead money kind of like filter its way out so we could, spend. They did this year. They did.
Yeah. And a good time when the receivers were moving a lot. And, it's a new NFL where, in the past, quarterbacks and receivers didn't move like they are now.
Yeah.
That you have a number one wide receiver, they're not going anywhere.
No.
I mean, maybe one goes in free agency, but it's very rarely do they ever make free agency.
Right.
And, it's all about being unhappy. And then quarterbacks, they don't do it. So, I mean, look, the Eagles still have a chance now. And especially, the good thing about Howie Roseman, whether you like him or not, he very rarely ever loses trades. And in this market, trades have become more prevalent in the last 5 years in the NFL than ever before.
Yeah, I kind of do agree with that. Like, I can be frustrated sometimes that it always feels like we're kicking the can down the road. Mm-hmm. But then you're right. I mean, the guy does win most of his trades. So I give you that for sure.
You have to.
Well, that about wraps it up for episode 20 here on the Heat Ratio Sports Network of us, Fourth and Go. Me, Dave, that Marc.
Yeah.
Yeah. But hey, man, it's been a good ride here since the new year. We've been burning and turning. And, as much as we spent the time tonight on the Philadelphia 76ers, understand this. There is an ability for them to move forward. Marc documented earlier that Morey has a plan. They can. It just, what we talked about tonight, it just can't be the same old thing. We only got a few years left of Embiid. Remember that. Not saying that we only got a few years left and he's retired in 2 years, but the window's shutting. And that's really what we want to get a point across. That, and I don't know if we can do it with Harden as the main focal point around him. We need something else.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. All right, bud. Until next week, we will be back talking more basketball, football, baseball, hockey. We are Philly Fourth and Go. Philly 4 for 4, plus so much more. Thanks for tuning in tonight. As always, Wednesday nights are regular night here, and we are a winning Wednesday, and that's what we do. Until next week, that's Marc. I'm Dave. Deuces.